Okay, sure, I'm ready. So basically, just to give it a little context, I've had a nightmare in years now. So the fact that I had a nightmare in the first place that I actually woke up from was quite shocking to me. And this happened, I believe it was like last week sometime. I don't have the exact date. But it concerns some podcasters that we both watch, Adam and Sitch from the Adam and Sitch show. I'm going to lay out the scenario of the nightmare and then talk about essentially the dream in its entirety, and then I guess we can have a discussion about it.
Sure.
So the start of the dream, obviously you can't exactly place an exact start, but what I remember is that Adam and Sitch are announcing that they're doing like a world tour around the world, and they happen to visit my country, my city, and then they're like streaming like, oh guys, like our hotel cancelled on us last minute. Do we have any fans in the city? Like if we could stay over with them, like it would be such a big thing. And so I don't know how I have the number, but I call them up and I say, well, I have 2 spare bedrooms at my place. The family member just moved out, so yeah, you could sleep in her room if you'd like. And so they come over. We play like video games. I say I'm 18. I'm sure you would know what that means, but for other people watching this, it just means I prefer one of the podcasters to the other. That's Adam Friended as opposed to PSA Sitch. And then, as we're getting ready to go to sleep, after playing video games for a bit, they tell me that Adam has to leave at around like 4 a.m. or sometime really early in the morning, and Sitch needs to leave at 7, so like a few hours after. And then we go to bed, and at this point, there's no fear in the nightmare. It's just like a fun thing. I think I actually fell asleep to their podcast, so that might have something to do with that. And then at 7 a.m., I wake up and remind PSA Sitch that it's time for him to leave soon. He's still sleeping in the other guest bedroom. And I start heading downstairs to go down to Adam's guest bedroom. So I'd assume he'd have left by now since he was meant to leave several hours earlier. And I come in and I start cleaning it up. And, it's not like horribly dirty, but, the bed's not done and it looks like he left in a rush. And so there's, just some disorganization. There's like some cups there and stuff. And I started cleaning things. But then I realize something is wrong. And that's when the horror kind of begins to start. I realized that a lighter is missing. So we don't actually have this lighter in this bedroom, which I'm imagining. But in my dream, for some reason, I knew there would be like a lighter in a cupboard where it doesn't actually exist in real life. And so I start thinking like, well, where's that lighter gone? And I look behind a table and there's a ton of newspapers. And the lighter is on with a flame. It's one of those gas lighters that you can hold down for a long time. So there's like newspapers and toilet paper, clearly meant to be set alight, so that the fire would start. And like for me, I start panicking, like, oh, it's a miracle that the room hasn't even caught fire yet. Like, oh, like everyone would have died, like this early in the morning, just being burnt alive. It's horrible. So I rushed to get water. Because I tried to pick up the lighter, but it's so hot because it's been running for a while. I'm pretty sure this isn't how lighters work, but again, this is dream logic.
Yes.
I try to, rush to get water, but I realized that the tap in that room, which works fine normally, is sabotaged. It doesn't work. And so it's really, really weird. So I try the shower tap, but that also doesn't work either. And then I notice as I'm leaving the room that the fire alarm, which is just like at the top of the room, has also been fucked with. So that's even like now I'm like truly, truly terrified that somebody deliberately planned out multiple ways that I could have tried to prevent this fire, or somebody would have prevented this fire, and they try and like fuck with this purposefully. So I managed to get to like another room in my house downstairs to get water to douse the lighter, and I managed to get like a bucket of water and pour it over the lighter. But at this point, I'm really terrified of what just happened because I realized there was like an attempt on everyone in my house's, lives. And I have, a younger sister living here, another sister who, well, in my dream, like recently moved out and stuff, but it's still, my whole family's here. So I tell this to PSA Sitch, which is one of the co-hosts, because he's still sleeping, he's preparing to leave for his flight. He overslept a bit. Who, by the way, is Asian in this dream, but he says he's not Asian in real life, so I don't know why I came to that conclusion.
Asian Jew?
And when I visit him in the morning... Sorry?
Oh, I think he's Jewish, an Asian Jew. That's an interesting, possible.
Yeah, I know. One of my friends actually told me she thought he was Asian, and then I think that might have caught on from her. She mentioned it in a call-in stream with him. And so I warn him, and he's with his dad. I don't remember when his dad came, but I guess he was always there or something in the morning. And so him and his dad are like, "Whoa, that's really crazy." So they start to try and call Adam, and apparently they call his wife, and she says he's gone missing. He didn't check into the airport. And so Sitch is like, "Oh, that's crazy. I'm removing Adam as co-host. We need to get like sorted. Like, what's going on? Like, he didn't even turn up to the airport. Apparently, like." I don't remember who else he called, but apparently like he didn't get a cab out or anything, which is really weird because my house is very far away from the nearest airport. So he just disappeared in the morning. And so this is all happening, and PSA Sitch leaves, so he just, leaves because he has his own flight. And I tell I wake up my whole family and say, "Listen, I made this horrible mistake letting these people in. I'm really sorry." And they call the police and hire a PI. And at that point, I'm kind of just like, wondering what's going on. And I kind of just head outside of my house in the front porch. And it's kind of dark still because it's 7 a.m. and, sunset hasn't risen. And I see someone kind of there watching our family. And I don't exactly remember who it is and how they look like. But I remember it being super scary because I woke up in a cold sweat and I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. Like, I was like tremoring. And it sounds silly because it's like podcast hosts and, they're not particularly scary or anything like that. The more I thought about the dream, and I might have like gaslighted myself into remembering more details than I actually did, but it did seem like it was kind of like a similar scenario with like the skin suit of my parents, but like more like the skin suit of Adam, the host. Just there looking at us, like with this really weird grimace, like he's like a puppet on strings,